Chris,
How's
first,
it going, man?
very well. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Busy, but good.
You know what? Um, what I totally love about this season is the fact that it's the time jump actually, because
Hmm.
um, I'm a big fan of the first season, and to be very honest, I kind of struggled with season two, three, and four a little bit, and
Hmm.
but now with the time jump, I feel like it's so fresh again, and we get to see new characters, of course, Chad, and the characters are completely different because they aren't high school teenagers anymore, so they are now dealing with uh, them being adults. So what do you think about time jump?
I think it's great. I know when I got to set, I felt like, the guys who've been there for five years nearly, they've been doing this show, and, they're very much kind of old pros at their roles. They know their characters inside out at that point. And I know that they were all excited to do this time jump because it's refreshing. It's refreshing for everyone. It's refreshing for the crew. The art departments have something different to think about. The writers have something different to think about, and the actors have something different to think about. Now, for me coming in, it's great to come into a set where everyone is invigorated and has new things, to think about, and
Yeah,
nothing feels, no one feels like they're doing the same old stuff. This was all brand new. It's like a new show in a sense.
exactly.
So for me, it was great to come in and work with everyone kind of on a happy note.
Yeah, right. And I mean, before the time jump happened, we of course saw all, the entire guard. We saw them telling each other, "Let's get together again in a year," and
Hmm.
they did not. And that, I don't know how about you, but that kind of reminded was like it reminded me of my own high school time when we were like, "Hey, let's get together again," and of
Yeah.
course, when you are so young and you're teenagers, of course, you believe that this will definitely happen.
Hmm.
But of course, people change over time, and they have other obligations and stuff, and they just start their own life, basically. And people often get asked, "Where do you see yourself in 10 years?" Which seems like an impossible question to answer. So I'm gonna
Hmm.
ask you like a different version of it. So if you look back, like 6, 7, 8 years, how different is your life now compared to the vision you've had like 6, 7, 8 years ago?
I think I was always good at kind of being, I don't think I had like a definite vision. Now, maybe if you'd have asked me like career wise, I would have said I'd be doing this, and this.
Yeah, all right.
But this career teaches you certain disciplines in rejection. There's a lot of rejection out there.
Mhm.
Never count your, don't count your chicken, don't count your eggs before they've hatched, kind of thing. A lot of So career wise, I might have had some different things, some different ideas, but I've been very happy with the work I've done, and I wouldn't change a thing, looking
That's
back.
the most important thing.
Um, yeah, I think the only other thing is I always wanted to have, you know, be married and have a child by 30, and I do. So I'm very, I can kind of tick that one off the list and say, yeah, manage that. But did I think I'd be living in the US and have a half American child? No, but so it's been exciting. It's been an exciting journey, and I think I still have friends from high school, as it were, in the UK,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
yeah.
Oh,
So when we see each other, we kind of all catch up and see how everyone's life has gone a little differently. But it's interesting.
okay. But it's not like traditional class reunions. It's just a few friends that you get to see again.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's like 5 or 6 of us,
All right.
who like who I would care to reach out. It's a good amount, yeah, and some of us never actually solidified our friendship until after school. It was like we knew each other in school, and then we kind of, as you get older and you get into your early 20s, and you kind of start to realize who you want to be spending your time with. I think that's when we all kind of came together and solidified it.
Right, because you believe that age 14 to 18 is like a long period of time. Back then, it feels
Mhm.
like it, but
Yeah.
then once you're in your 20s, you realize that 4 years is like nothing. So
Yeah. And then there's such fast years, everything's changing around you, your body is changing, friends are changing, school, you're learning new things, your tastes change, puberty happens, which is, the a big thing. And so I think everyone puts a lot of weight on that time. But you know, it's one of the sayings I like is, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I try and apply that where I can. It's like there's no rush to get anywhere, because there's a long way to go.
Absolutely. And so in the show, Jughead was the only poor guy that really showed up 1 year later, and of course was very disappointed to see that he was the only one. Um, what do you believe? And I mean, this counts for real life as well. What do you believe? Why a lot of people, actually, me included, seem to uh, or what do you believe? Why time and distance can make you forget about promises that were once important to you?
I think, especially a smaller town like Riverdale, the way it's kind of put across, you step out of that place and you find an interest, whether it's your first job, whether it's further education, whether it's just traveling around the world. You see this big wild world out there, and you meet people, and you realize there's a lot to see and a lot to do. And I know personally that was one of my things, is once I moved out of Liverpool, which is the city I'm from, which I love the city of Liverpool, don't get me wrong, but I moved out there and saw the theatre scene in London and was like, wow, this is amazing. And then, I managed to get over to Los Angeles, and there's a whole wide world, and I'm in that business, and that's what I want to pursue, and that's where my ambitions lay. So I think as you grow older and you get to know kind of what you want, you start to find places and people in the world that have similar ideas. And I think that's what we all naturally gravitate to.
I mean, the characters in the show, they travel, of course, a lot, and they get to see new places as well. But what I love is that when they got back together, they felt nostalgic about pubs, and they of course go to pubs all the time again.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, do you have a place like that? Do you remember a precious place that meant a lot to you when you were a teenager, that you always love to go back to, even if you travel a lot in the world?
Yeah, I mean, the whole city of Liverpool in general, to be honest, I love going back home and seeing all that. I'd say the main places would be Goodison Park, which is a football stadium, which my team Everton play at. I used to go there every weekend, every other weekend as a kid for so many years of my life, with my dad and then with my friends. So that's always a place I like to go back to and see. There's a restaurant in Liverpool called Casa Italia I've been going to since I was maybe 13, 14. And it's beautiful homemade Italian, and I'll always go back there. And then I think the Everyman Theatre in Liverpool, because I was a member of the youth theatre there. So it's on a street called Hope Street, which is a beautiful street. And that always makes me feel very nostalgic. And I remember the good times about me finding out who I was as an actor, whether I could act, and I'm learning a lot about, different things like Shakespeare and physical theatre and dance and singing and, etc. So I think they're the three places that stick out in my mind.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Mine was actually a very old theater, but unfortunately they turned it into a disco recently. So it's like all gone. The outside building is still the same, but inside everything as.
Yeah, you can still look at it though and have those memories. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually purchased, when they were rebuilding it, they were solding, the seats. So I got to So that's like cool. a tiny little precious memory then, that they can see.
That's cool.
So we can say that Chet isn't the biggest fan of Veronica going to Riverdale, and he would prefer her to go back. And the reason, of course, why she's there is because she wants to save Riverdale, even if pretty much no one outside of the group believes that this is possible. So I was wondering, did you ever, believe in something that no one else did?
Wow, that's a big question. I think there's probably been times in my life where I've believed in something and I've been wrong, and that's, you know, they're always the big learning curves in life, right? We all make mistakes. So I'd probably say a lot of my mistakes in life was due to something I believed in, and then realized that I was wrong, and you learn that lesson. I think sometimes believing in myself when other people didn't. I think maybe in the business, and
Right.
it's a competitive industry, so so maybe when I was younger and I was from Liverpool, I was looked at in a certain way, and I always thought, oh, I can do more, I can do more, and I always think I can do more. I'm very ambitious, and hopefully I get a chance to prove in the future with whatever work I do. Riverdale is a great platform, and I'm enjoying playing Chad. It's a great character to play.
Yeah.
So I keep hopefully stepping up and stepping up. And I think having that belief in yourself when there is rejection and someone says, oh, you can't do this role, and then 5 or 6 years later getting that kind of role that they said you couldn't do and doing well at it, that's they're the moments where you go, okay, like that person was wrong about me and I knew it, and I'll stick with my instincts, with my gut instincts on that.
That is so important, because there are so many people that go like, they get like 2-3 negative feedbacks, and then they go like, okay, looks like I'm not made for that, and then they kind of give up, and they that just don't purchase their dream anymore because they believe those other voices.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like it takes a long time to learn that especially like this business is, you could do 100 auditions and get all no's, and then that one job comes along and you could only get one job a year, especially when I was starting out. It's a really tough industry to start in, and those rejections, you do just have to have like almost blind faith. I know the first 10 rejections I got, I couldn't deal with them really, and then it was tough, and then you realize, this is how the business works. Okay, it's a numbers game. You keep going, you get a few jobs, and then the bigger the rejection gets, like, I've been close to big films and I've got the rejection eventually, got down to the wire and then got the rejection, and that first one really hurts, but then you find the second time it happens, you've learned the lesson, you never got your hopes up, you keep yourself balanced, and you go, okay, well, I didn't get that one, there'll be another, and you move on. But it takes time to learn that discipline. It really is. It's a tough thing to get used to.
And so, when you get a part, and then the next time, and I mean, I can imagine whenever you get a part, you kind of find like more confidence in yourself. But I mean, what does it do when you don't get the next part that you wanted? I mean, do you fall back, or is it different?
No, I mean, I think there's so many different types of roles too. It's like you could be close to something that you really don't like the work that much, but sometimes you have to take a job because you might be working in a restaurant, or you might have bills to pay or whatever. So you can put different pressures on yourself. I think now, and don't get me wrong, I've been doing this 13 years now, as an actor. So I think now I've got to the point where I'll audition and I'll let it go. And then if I get a phone call saying, hey, you've got a recall, or hey, you've got the role, great. It's almost like a bonus. But I try to focus on the other things in life because, at the end of the day, like there's a lot more to life than your career. Actors, we live a very strange kind of existence in the sense that what a lot of our work is put on show for millions and millions of people. So there seems to be a kind of, there seems to be a pressure of like celebrity, or a pressure of, the public wanting to know more about you, etc., etc. So the job is a very strange thing, and it can, we see a lot of people succumbing to the pressures of it. And I think just trying to have good things and good people around you in the other aspects of your life is the most important thing. I'd say never sacrifice your happiness for worrying about work or a rejection, because there's always going to be something else. There'll always be something else. It might take a year, it may take 5 years, but it will happen if it's meant to.
Absolutely. And there's what was funny in the last episode that you were in, is when when Veronica asked Chet to go to Pops, and he was like, I can't handle another burger or something like that.
Yeah.
So and she looked so incredibly disappointed, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it also happens to me, you know. I feel like, oh, this is like a great place, and so let's go there. And then I see like my friends, and they go like, and they don't like it, and then I'm
Hmm.
disappointed because they don't, you know. So I
Yeah.
was wondering, did you ever had that? Were you ever disappointed because you were in love with something, and others kind of disliked it, whatever it was?
Yeah. I think it's a funny form of disappointment. You know, it's kind of like you almost take pride in that thing that you're obsessed with, whether it's a restaurant or whether it's a. I think it happens a lot with movies. I feel like if you're speaking
Yeah.
to, especially like, I love movies, but I wouldn't call myself a buff. Like I don't have the you know the memory to retain every person I've seen or every storyline or
All
whatever.
right.
But
Yeah.
if I say, oh, I love this movie, and then someone who's a bit more, critical might be like, oh, that movie is blah blah blah. It panders to yada yada, and you're like, it makes you feel bad for liking that movie, and hey, calm down a bit. I think also like introducing my wife to football in the UK. That's a big part of my life growing up, and like it still is a
Oh,
big part
yeah.
of my life. And me being like, we'll go to the game, you'll love it, and her getting there and going, yeah, it's great, but she's just not that interested. I think there was part of me that was a little hurt, but then at the same time, I realized like I love this because it's my life. I've grown up with this, and
Yeah.
she's from Florida, like never really heard of football before. So I had to.
I'm going to force her to love it if
Of
she.
course, yeah, no, and she supports me in my love for it, which is all I need. It's good.
So we also heard your character sing with Veronica in that episode. So was that really you singing?
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a strange one because we got the script, and I'm reading. As soon as you get the script, you're like, okay, I want to see what's happening with Chad, what's going on.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm reading the script, and I was sitting, and I was like, oh no, karaoke scene, okay. And I was like, sure. I was like, surely they won't actually make me sing anything, I was like, no, no one's asked me if I could sing. I've worked with Roberto, the creator, on a pilot that got cancelled due to COVID.
All right.
And I don't think I ever said to him I could sing. I didn't sing in that. So I was kind of like, no. And then I get an email saying, okay, Chris, we need you to come in to record. And I was like, oh, panic. I've sang before, but I'm definitely not a singer. I don't sing. It's like I only sing when someone asks me to or tell me to. So my voice is never in good shape, and I have to kind of
All
really
right.
catch
Yeah.
up. But I got lucky. Like luckily, that song, was close enough to my range, and the musical director was really patient with me and gave me some good notes, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I think it looked good. And then even going to set and having to stand up in front of all these like the likes of KJ and Lily and Casey and Drew, standing up in front of them who are long-standing regulars on the show. They've done this stuff countless number of times, and it's the first day I've met most of them, and I have to get up and sing this song with Camila. So it was kind of a nerve-wracking thing, but I'm happy with the way it turned out, and it seems like people quite like the version of the song.
But it's great. I mean, I can imagine it makes you more proud to know that it was really you, because very often, whenever I watch movies with friends or family, and then someone sings and they go like, "Wow, I didn't know that actor or that actress can sing so well." But then afterwards, you tell them, "Well, it wasn't
It
them.
wasn't them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was recorded afterwards." So
No, I'm proud. I'm proud to say it was me, and I do have a I make my wife and my friends have been making fun of me because I have an artist page on Spotify, so it's like you can look me up as a recording artist, which is a first for me, so it's good.
So, would you look forward to traditional musical episode? Would you love to have a solo?
I mean, I would now. I would definitely now. I would now. I've got as you say, gaining the confidence of doing it once, and I'd love to see what if Chad had a song to sing, what would it be? Because I think he's he's an outsider in this group, especially now that the distance has grown between him and Veronica. It's on the rocks. So what would his song be? I don't know, but I know the writers would come up with something great. I don't know when the musical episode is. I don't know when it's happening. But if I get a song in it, I'd be happy to have a stab at it, definitely.
So fingers crossed about that.
Yeah.
we are almost facing the mid-season finale.
Mhm.
Oh wait, before that, I just forgot about it, but what I wanted to say is about Chad, that it's so easy to believe that he is like the super bad guy, or like it's very easy to believe that, but actually I feel like he's just acting out of fear, doesn't he?
I mean, I think so far what we've seen of Chad, he's always, I mean, in this fandom, he's always going to get a bad rap, right? Because he's the guy who's taken Varchi away from the fans, right? So I understand that, and I get it. Like, I'm the new guy, and he's, Chad can come across a little bit tough at some points to deal with, I suppose. But from what we've seen, he's making an effort with his wife, and I don't think Veronica is giving him a fair shot. I think her head has been turned quite quickly, and
Yeah.
I think Chad is hurt by that, and I think that's where a lot of the tension comes from. We are going to see more of that tension, and I think that the story will grow in that sense. So yeah, that's it. I'm excited for people to see where this goes.
So will Chad be in the mid-season finale as well? Can you say that?
I don't know what episode is the mid-season finale. Is that 10?
Yeah,
That'd be the 10th episode. 10, yeah. He's in episode 10, I think.
All right.
Yes. I can never remember the episodes I've done. Right. Yeah. I know he's coming up. He's in episode 8 is next week, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. He's in next week. I think we saw him in the promo very briefly. Next week is a good episode. It's a fun one. You're gonna see a little bit more tension between the Chad and the people of Riverdale a little bit, which is good.
All right. Very excited to see that.
Yeah, should be good.
Chris, I want to thank you very much for your time today. Pleasure talking to you. Of course, much success with Riverdale, but also with everything else that you have going on with other roles and everything. And yeah, thanks again for your time today.
I mean, thank you so much for having me, and great questions, very different as well. I didn't know I was going to get so deep today.
Oh, thank you very much. Don't make me blush.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.